Welcome back to part 3 of our series on evangelism and outreach. And today I want to pick up with some details that kind of advances a little bit further the conversation we had in part 2 about teaching our people how to be good neighbors and especially how to engage in gospel conversations as opposed to gospel presentations. And so again, there's just 3 simple points I want to highlight that I think will really help your people as they seek to engage people around the topic of Jesus, around the topic of the gospel. So here's number 1. The first thing that we need to do is teach our people just how to listen. Now, this kind of is counterintuitive. For most of the time that I've grown up in church and that since I've been saved and I've taken evangelism courses, most of those center on the act of speaking, of talking. And we want to start instead with the skill of listening. So one of the most effective things we can teach people to do is just simply ask somebody to share their story. This is something I do all the time. In the role I'm currently in, I travel quite a bit. I'm at different churches. I meet lots of different people. And whether they're believers or not believers, the easiest way to engage in a more serious type of conversation about things that really matter is to simply ask them, hey, tell me about your life. Or if they're a married couple, maybe ask them, how did you guys meet? Tell me a little bit about your story. And it's amazing how quickly people warm up and begin to talk about things that actually matter. So we need to teach our people how to do that. Just simply ask people to share a story and then not to butt in, but to ask good follow-up questions. So when you said that, you went through this situation, what did that feel like? What did you learn from that? And we begin to teach them the art of asking good questions. The second thing that we can teach our people is how to share their story. Now, first we want to listen to the other person's story, but there then will come a time when perhaps they'll ask us, well, what about you? What's your story? Or maybe there's a time near the end of their story we can say, you know what, your story's a little bit like mine. Let me share a little bit about my story. And that gives us the opportunity to talk about our life experiences and especially those moments that were intersected by Jesus Christ. Those times when Jesus made a difference. And so, for example, when I talk to a married couple, my wife and I are there especially, and maybe they talk about some things that happened in their marriage, then I like to intersect that with part of my story, being the struggle that Donna and I had and we worked through in our marriage back some 20 plus years ago, and explain to them how our faith in Jesus Christ and the teachings of the Bible helped us to navigate that difficult time. That's just one example that you could share. And so first, we want to start by teaching our people how to listen well. Secondly, we want to teach them how to share their story. One of the best ways to do that is to say, here's what my life was like before Christ. Here's what my life is like now, and here's that intersection that made the difference in between the two. My life used to be this way, now it's this way, and the difference maker was Jesus Christ. And then the third thing we can teach them to do is to tell God's story, especially using a chronological Bible study. Now, I don't have time to delve into chronological Bible studies right now, but I do want to say just a few words to whet your appetite. What we're finding as we talk to people today in today's culture about the gospel is they have hardly no opinion about God at all, and if they do, it's a very skewed perspective. And so what I found is much more effective to not start in the Gospels to share about Jesus, but to start in the book of Genesis and to begin to ask questions as we read through the book of Genesis. What is God like? What do we learn about God? What kind of God is he? What was different about how he created man? What's the significance of that? What's this promise that God made in Genesis chapter 3 and verse 15 after man sinned? And what was sin anyway? What is it that Adam and Eve actually did? And as we set the table in the book of Genesis, it becomes very easy to move forward to the Gospel of John and talk about some of those very things, because we can point out that the God who is in the beginning and created is the Word who is in the beginning, through whom it all was made. And so it's a great opportunity to teach people how to share the gospel by starting from the beginning rather than in the New Testament. It's very significant skill. If you need some help with that, there are a lot of mission agencies out there that can do that. You could Google the topic, and there's a number of resources out there that can help you in that specific area. So I just want to encourage you again to review those three things. Teach your people how to listen well, teach them how to share their story, and then teach them how to tell God's story, starting with the book of Genesis, starting at the beginning where most stories start. And if you'll do that, I think you'll find that your people will be a lot less fearful about engaging in these kind of conversations, and they'll be a lot more skilled in the process. So God bless you as you engage your people more in outreach and evangelism. As we come out of this COVID crisis, it's imperative that we get back engaged on the mission of God. God bless you. I'm praying for your churches. If there's any way that we can help you further, simply email me at cjewel@garbc.org. I'd be glad to interact with you about how we can further help your church. God bless you.